In today's ClickFix, you'll learn how our exclusive magic hooks work to give you more control over how people interact with the links that you share. In basic terms, magic hooks let you do a couple of things at the moment. A, change when somebody's subscription or payment plan payments are charged, or B, toggle whether or not you want someone to receive a recurring invoice with every charge. I'll get deeper into specific use cases in a separate video, but for now, imagine that you want to gain better control over your cash flow, so you decide that from now on, everyone is going to be charged on the first of every month. With magic hooks, you can do that and much more. So without further ado, let's jump into the ClickFix app to see exactly how we create our magic hooks and what types of options you're currently working with. We'll start by changing the next charge date of an open order. Once you're on the magic hooks page, you'll notice that the first thing you have to do is select the Ontraport application key that you want to work with. If you haven't set up your Ontraport key yet, navigate to Settings, Ontraport API Keys, and set one up right now because all of the ClickFix apps will ask you for your key before allowing you to use them. If you need help setting up your key, please refer to the video tutorial linked on that page. In the documentation, you can see that you'll need a token. To get yours, simply click on the ClickFix tokens and either create a new one or add the proper permission to an existing one. Now, after selecting your Ontraport key, you'll see that the base URL changes to show your unique token. You can then copy and paste that token into your text editor along with the following example. From here, you just need to add the URL parameters that'll tell Ontraport which open order to update and when you want the next charge and subsequent charges to take place. Let's go over them one by one. First up is the AND-ID equals. This one will always be AND-ID equals contact ID, so you don't have to change this at all. That tells Ontraport which contact record to modify. Every magic hook you create needs this parameter to work, so be sure to include it every time. The contact ID part will be automatically replaced by Ontraport at runtime. So as soon as the webhook fires, Ontraport will go ahead and replace this with the proper contact ID. Next, you have the optional and from parameter, which allows you to choose between today and order. This parameter tells Ontraport whether you want the offset you choose in a later step to be counted from today or from the current date of the open order. Let me try to explain that with an example. Adding and from equals today means that whatever offset you type will be calculated from today. So if you choose a 3-day offset, your magic hook would change the next charge date to 3 days from today. So for example, if today were November 21st, the next charge would be on November 24th. If you were to choose and from equals order, then it would calculate 3 days from the date of the next order. So if today is November 21st and the next charge date is set for December 21st, this would change the next charge date to December 24th. So that's 3 days from the next open order. Moving on, we see that we can also choose the time zone that we want to use for the webhooks calculations. This looks like and time zone equals, followed by the desired time zone in a continent/city format like and time zone equals Europe/London. You can Google TZ database time zones if you need a list of compatible time zones. This is an optional parameter, but if it's not specified, please keep in mind that it'll default to GMT, which is essentially the UK time for the uninitiated. After that, we have the option to specify which product this is for by using the and product equals parameter. You can find your product ID list in your Ontraport dashboard under Sales, Products, and then either adding the product ID column, or if you're in Chrome, you can just hover over the product name and look in the lower left corner of the browser window. Let's take a look at that right now. So you can see that here I've already added the product ID, so they show up for me automatically. But if you don't have those added, you can hover over the name of the product, and in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see that the and ID equals 2, which corresponds to product ID number 2 over here. So adding the product parameter tells your magic hook to only modify the charging schedule of a specific product. If you do not include this in your webhook, you may end up modifying every open order, both subscriptions and payment plans currently active for that contact. So make sure you include the specific product ID if you have multiple subscriptions and/or payment plans available on your website, or if you want to just make sure that only a specific product recurring charge will be changed. From there, we get into the and type equals, followed by the and offset equals parameters. As the table shows, you have several options that you need to consider for the and type equals variable, which will determine what number you should include for the and offset equals value. So this is probably easier to explain with some examples. So if you want to change the next charge date to next Tuesday, you would add and type equals next day and offset equals 2. So in this example that you see on the screen, you see here that the and type equals next month and offset equals 1, which would move an open order next to the next charge date of the 1st of next month. So today, as of recording, today is November 12th. So if I were to put that webhook into my Ontraport settings, then it would automatically change the next charge date to December 1st. Now, what about this next one? Here we see that the and type is equal to day and offset equals 30, and the and from parameter is equals order. So what that does is it adds 30 days to the next charge date in the order, which essentially gives them 30 days free. So the way that this would translate is that if today is November 12th and I have the next charge date would then be probably December 12th because I have on a monthly charge cycle, adding this would mean that I would add 30 days to December 12th, which would put me sometime in January, which would again give them essentially 30 days free. You can also combine them. So you can run the first webhook like this one, which would say that it wants to charge the next recurring charge to change it to the 1st of the month. And then you run a second webhook, which would then push the next charge date to the first Monday of the next month as well. All right, so this would say, I want to set this to December 1st, and then running this would then push it to the first Monday after December 1st. The last thing that you want to know is that you can have these combinations and you can kind of play around with them a little bit, but you're definitely going to want to test to make sure that it is providing the changes that you're after. Why don't we jump over to Ontraport and I'll show you exactly how to deploy this. So once you're logged into your Ontraport dashboard, you're going to want to go to campaigns, and then you'll probably want to select a new campaign. And then for this, we'll just go ahead and start it from scratch. I always like to give my campaigns a descriptive name. And here's where you got to decide how exactly you're going to fire off the webhook. So you have kind of two choices here. The default is if you're going to be adding a tag of some sort and you wanted to update your entire database to start paying you on the 1st, you'd probably just go ahead and put a webhook here under the added to campaign. But I want this to fire on a specific product. So instead of putting the webhook here, I'm going to have a trigger. And I'm going to say that when a product is purchased, and I'm going to say that I want it to be my Magic Hook recurring 1st of the month product. When that product is purchased, I want to go ahead and tell it to fire off a webhook. And here in this destination URL, all you're going to do is you're going to take the URL that you've created based on this base URL and the different parameters that you've selected along the way. So for me, I'm just going to say that I want to charge the 1st of next month. So this one is already made for me. Copy that. Take it over here and paste it. And then I also like to have a descriptive, I like to put a good description here so that way at first glance, I know exactly what this campaign is doing and what each of the steps are doing. So change charge to 1st of the month. And in that, after that, send, and that's it. From here, all you have to do is publish this. And every time somebody purchases your product, it'll automatically go in and change the next charge date to the first of the month. So you're going to want to make sure that you test this out. And you're also going to want to make sure that you use logic when you're setting these up, because this would in fact say that if somebody were to purchase on the, let's say the 30th of November, this webhook would then charge them again on the 1st of December. So you're definitely you're going to want to take some of that into account when you're setting things up, but just know that you have a lot of flexibility here, and that with experimentation, I'm sure you'll be able to do some really interesting things that are going to make it even easier for you and your clients to control their cash flow and to do some pretty spectacular things with Ontraport.